I'm Mark Yovich from Ticketmaster. I run Ticketmaster outside North America, which is 15 countries from Australia to Europe. Okay, so the story goes, I was just backpacking around Europe and got a job for 2 weeks at what was SFX Entertainment at the time. So this was not the Silliman SFX we have now, it was the old SFX. And they just rolled up some of the promoters and venues in Europe, and my job was to kind of help them figure out what the hell they'd bought and basically put a spreadsheet together of all the events that were on sale in the sort of 6 countries in Europe with these promoters that they bought. And it was called the event schedule. And then that lasted for a long time. Well, that schedule lasted for a long time, but that was 2 weeks. Then I left, and about 3 months later I was backpacking, and they rang me back and said, do you want to come back full time? There's this guy, Michael Rapino, over here now running things. And I went back there and met him and started 15 years ago. Yeah, my background is, digital interface design, multimedia, that kind of stuff. So this was 2000, and the company didn't have an internet website presence. So I helped put that together over time, and then more of the festivals got bought. So I was responsible for all the festival websites and building communities. The Download Festival in the UK, I was there at the inception of that when we created that event out of the ashes of Monsters of Rock. And we helped build that online community and foster that over the years. So I was at Live Nation for 10 years, doing that job pretty much. Well, I mean, a lot's changed. We were only in a few markets 15 years ago, 6 or so markets. We're now in 22. So that happened during the period that I was at Live Nation. Massive geographic expansion. Lots of new assets that we were responsible for. Major festivals was the biggest thing. The heartland of what Live Nation in Europe was and is festivals, right? These amazing festivals that have been running for 30 years, Rock Werchter, Lowlands, Pink Pop, whatever they are, been around a long time. And so nurturing those through the digital age was what I was working with all the local markets on. And the UK assets, when we created Download Festival, during that time as well. I was there at the beginning, and from the beginning, by the very name of it, Download. At the time of Napster, it was a bit controversial, but we wanted it to be thought of as a future-facing festival, and to think about all those things head on. So the community around it, the online community, was very, very important to that. So I was heavily involved in that for many, many years. Yeah, selling it, of course, right? God bless promoters, but they've been doing things a long time, and a lot of these companies that we'd bought were, the best in the business, but they'd been doing the things for a long time. So convincing them was my job, to use email as a marketing tool, and that had value, and that they had to pay for that. It wasn't a free thing. They thought it was great. We've got this new free thing called email to sell tickets. We don't have to spend money on posters as much. So I had to convince them, no, you still have to pay for the email service. And those things, it was challenging. To shift the percentage of the total marketing spend away from 95% of traditional marketing channels to digital channels was challenging. But you just prove it to them, and they'll come along. So it was an interesting time for sure. Well, ticketing has been disrupted, I guess, by the secondary market. That's our big disruptor that the internet brought along. So embracing that and figuring a path forward with secondary ticketing, and giving all the fans the option to go to the show in one place. And then the mechanism to get you into the show, right? The traditional paper ticket, the mobile phone, whatever that method, that token, that device to get you in the show is going to change over the next 10 years. It'll probably be more mobile based and less about a barcode, and more about just a device or some kind of token in that device that'll check that you have a valid ticket to get into the show. So we'll see a lot of innovation there. On the digital side, not really anybody I can think of. Michael Rapino obviously was a great mentor. I was lucky enough to start with him when I started in this business. So, I was, in Europe at that time, we'd bought all these amazing promoters. So I was surrounded by phenomenal characters And I'd never been in the music business in my life, you know, when I left Australia. So it was all new, and going out to these festivals and seeing what these promoters had done over 20 or 30 years, creating these amazing events and experiences, and hearing their stories. They were my mentors all across Europe, and still are, you know, these great promoters in each country. And Michael across all of that, right? So I worked with him for so long, and he's an amazing inspiration. Come work at Ticketmaster. Yeah, it's a very, very competitive space, right? Advice to get in the business, you know, good ideas are important, but it's the ability to execute those ideas, and understand the bigger picture and how those ideas can matter. It's all really about servicing the artist and the client, and making their job easy, and delighting your fans and getting them into the show. So if you're passionate about that and you care about it and you can execute on it, then you'll be successful.